evening, everybody. And today, Pan is out to play. Hold the ball. That's what he says. Hold the ball, pass it to me, throw it now, and catch it somehow. Kick it, and roll it. Bounce it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and some more. Now, dribble it. Dribble it without dropping it to the floor. So, hold the ball, pass it, throw it, catch it, kick it, roll it, bounce it, and then dribble it, and then twirl it somehow. Don't drop it on the floor, for it's playtime. Good evening, everybody. So today we are going to talk about play. Play and how simply we can learn so many things with play. Today when I was planning the session, I saw Pan sitting in this little sack, and he says we have to play and we have to play different things back to back. So today that's what is the plan, that it's going to be play, it's going to be fun, and then we are going to see what all it brings for us, right? We call it the head, the heart, and the hand. Many years back, it was Gandhiji who talked about it, and they talked about the new education, saying that connect all the parts. But what we are going to do is, while we completely look at what the significance of what they were saying, we are going to interpret it in a similar way, saying that what can we use as a stimulus, what can we use to just make children happy, and for the hand, we would just use a holistic development of the body. Whether it is large muscle, whether it is small muscle, whether it is health and safety, it's all a part of this play. You know, when I started the design of today's program, we thought of play and activities. But as I was building it, I realized that there was so much of play and simplicity of the games around us which we've completely forgotten. So I thought, I got sidetracked a little, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So today I went down and I started looking for stones, simple stones. You know, I couldn't find stones. It was so difficult to find 7 stones. And this used to be a lovely favorite game of a lot of us. So I have 7 stones here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The 8th one is kept as the spare one, so that if they don't fit in, you should be able to fit it in. So I'm going to build a little tower of these stones. They're not very proportionate, but I'll still try and do it. So I take the biggest one and put it at the bottom. A slightly lighter one over that. Another one over that. The 4th one. The 5th one. The 6th one. And the 7th one. And I'm ready. I'm ready to step back now and aim the ball, focus really well, and I have to hit it right till the bottom. And then my friends have to be ready to hold it, and we will run. We will run and see that nobody can hit us with the ball, and we will come back and we will build this tower. Skills, counting, precision, focus. With such simple resources. You know, today when I was walking with the stones and I saw little children play, and you see a lot of children playing outside these days, I'm sorry, I'm down with a little cold, so you all will have to bear with me. So I asked children that, do you play 7 stones? So they all looked at me and said, not really. And imagine, I couldn't find stones in my environment. Simple processes, simple resources. We are not able to use them, and we don't find them and introduce them to our children. I think these were lovely tools. These were nice play resources, and it worked with all age groups, you know. Another lovely game was this: four stones. You drew a square, you know, and with four stones inside. The players were in the squares, and the person would walk up and down and try and, you know, catch them. And their job was to come, and while the person was walking on the other side, take the stone and run back. And then all four of them had to gather into one block, and that was the end of the game. So, when all of this was happening, what would be happening to the children? How would they be designing, thinking, planning? There were a lot of things happening during this time. One, they needed to have five people, at least minimum, to play this game. Then, how they helped each other was so important. Their focus was so important. Their skills were so important. And very interestingly, different kinds of communication was very important. They would shout out, they would just do non-verbal communication. So play can take care of so many apt and necessary things for day-to-day living. Activities, when we talk about activities and I will talk about play, activities would be more specific, but play can be very, not spaced out. There can be a lot of variations, there can be a lot of thoughts. So I'm just kind of trying to recollect all the things that are so easy, resources are so easy to get, yet the amount of play we see is not as much. In the last few weeks, I'm actually seeing a lot of children come out and play. On a normal day to day, in the last whole year was different, but even before that, the children playtime has got reduced a lot. I think now, when the children come back to even school, play will become a very important part of getting them back into a rhythm and routine. It's going to help a lot because they've missed the peer play. They've missed. So when we started the evening today, I just used one basketball which I requested one of my neighbor's children to give to me. And how many things did we use? We bounced it a number of times. We had vocabulary that said hold, pass, throw, catch, kick, roll, bounce it, dribble it, twirl it. So much of language. If I keep it as a pattern, bounce it, dribble it, throw it, catch it, roll it, I create a pattern. And it becomes so interesting for the children because they actually follow it. You know, I oversee the basketball court downstairs, and I see little children so focused and changing the processes so well. And I was actually quite admiring the way the person is actually making them play systematically as well as on their own. It's a very nice sight to see. So today I was collecting all the resources that, you know, we have forgotten about. I don't see children skipping so much anymore. Simple skipping. They're games which perhaps we should all think and bring back consciously into the children's lives, you know, because this will definitely help us to use minimal resources and bring back very relevant games to the children. A simple game like Coco. It's children sitting, running around, then they tap the other person and then the person catches them. I've done it with little children as well. So how many things are happening during a game like that? The agility of sitting and standing, the precision, the calculation, you know, the perceptual movement left to right, eye contact, saying run. So many little things happen in these games. A game like Coco is another very interesting game. You know, another thing which I look around and see doesn't, you know, when things were at a time little past, If there was sand, if there was a building happening somewhere, sand was like we would all go there and build castles. So we don't see the castles anymore. We don't see children playing just with mud. I mean, everybody's like very cautious. Of course, this time is different, but even otherwise, these are little things which perhaps we must talk about. The first session we had, we were talking about the attitudes of the teachers that have to develop. So we had one side of that, and we kept the Thursday's tea as all the areas that we have to change within ourselves. So I think even the way we address play definitely needs a little bit of a change. Everything is too guided. Um, it's good to have guided play, it's good to have systematic play, but it's also very important to have free play. So I think, there used to be this lovely game called Chain. I'm just kind of today going to give you little reminders where you can actually sit back and say that why don't the children play Chain anymore? Do you really see them play Chain? Where you could all at the end, the last person would be just one person running and everybody else would be in a chain. So as you keep getting your the next person out, the person makes a chain and a chain. So many things had to be coordinated in a chain. The speed of each other had to be checked. Some people were slow, so the chain became slower. Some people were really fast, so they would just pull the chain along. Sometimes a child would fall and the chain would stop. So a simple game like that taught them so many things. It taught them how to be alert. It taught them how to be patient. It taught them how to care for everybody in the chain, because if the chain broke, you could not catch the last person out. You had to keep the chain together. These are all skills which I think was so important. When I was planning, I went to look for marbles, normal marbles that we used to see around. Big marble, medium marble, small marble, which used to become, I couldn't find them anywhere in the market. We used to just find them in local shops. So it's not that times will not change, but there's certain games we can bring back because they also bring a lot of skills. Precision, focus, counting, proportion, distance, all this used to be done naturally. Today you have to teach it. But while play, we could have just taught them that without a thought. So I think these little games, the T for top, the lattu. I looked at the ones that you get these days. They are very precise. They're made on perfect pins. There is a pull-out thread, and then you put it on the floor. Whereas the traditional Indian tool, which is the lattu, was made out of wood. It had a nail at the bottom, and it had a thin, very nice, soft rope that you would put around it, and you would twirl it, and you could actually even twirl it on your hands when you became an expert, and the floor. And we used to spend hours doing it. It was skills, pure skills that made it twirl. And it was amazing because some people could just do it on a small piece of stone. So today, when I was actually sitting down and thinking of play, I realized how many things we've just left behind. I think when I was going through play, flexible working, and the NEP, what people are asking us to do culturally, while a lot of modern play has happened, a lot of tools have come in, I still, when I was sitting down and thinking today, I found the precision and skills of these things very interesting. So I thought I will talk about them to you. Dog in the bone, simple game. It just needs some things in the middle, and it needs two teams, and it works, right? So I think just sorry. And so these were things which are important. I also, a few days back, I was downstairs and I was asking, there's no more hopscotch, normal hopscotch. You would see it all over. and children would play hopscotch for hours. So, it was, I live in this building, and the kind of free play that we are looking at, where children come together, so we used to have these hopscotch tournaments for days and days, that okay, now we'll play, we would ring bells, we would call people out, and then there was this ability to wait for each other's turn, remember what happened last time, and that's how it went on and on and on. Another lovely game is hopping. We used to hop, and we used to call it langdi tang. No? I used to just say that, hop on one leg and keep catching everybody, and if your foot goes down, you're out. uh, these were very simple things, but can be done so precisely and can help children to actually control their balances. Um, they don't cost you anything. Small muscle, large muscle development, the mind, the happiness. So when I was dribbling the ball, when I was playing an activity, when I do the pittu, even something, when we are in school and we are working, we would just be able to um, use something as simple as a newspaper. You know, we would start with crushing it on the first day, making a very small ball out of it. It would be a lovely game where you would say it's a naming game, call the name of your new friend in the class, and toss the newspaper ball. And children would spend a good amount of time doing it till they learn the names of their friends. So they would say, Rashmi, and they would catch. And Rashmi would say, Shilpi, or she would say Rahul. And over this just tossing of the thing, they would learn their names. Another thing that they did with these paper balls was dropping them into something. So a lot of physical control, a lot of language, a lot of emotions. When we were talking about the domains, and we kept thinking of what all do we need to do to develop domains. So play, suppose we start with a simple thing like personal, social, emotional development. Play will make you happy. There will be certain people who will be crying because they lose. There will be certain people who will be angry. It's a whole lot of emotion that happens. Team choosing. Who are you going to play with? Are you going to play with only the best, or can you just have your friends and make a team? Will you choose to fit in for each other? Suppose your friend can't catch. It's like any tournament that one person just steps aside and the other person steps over. Do you play for yourself or do you play with the team? And that's how it works. So we used to have these pair working, pair games. There used to be that aao, milo, shilo, shalo, kacha dhaga, race, lagalo, do patte tode, and we used to do this for a good amount of time. So repetition and play worked for us. Boredom is another thing which we don't allow children to reach. We keep their day so well set that their creative play is gone down a lot. It's precise play patterns. They're looking for things which are pre-decided for them. I think some amount of boredom, some amount of innovative play is also so important. Sorry. Another very interesting thing, so when we do activity-based learning, we do pair working, we do small group working, we do large group working, and we do team working. Each of these settings fits so beautifully with play. There's another lovely game that we used to play. We used to all hold hands like that and play this oranges and lemons, and then we would say then, and hold the person, and one person would join one side and the other person would join the other side, and then you would have this whole tug of war. Do you realize we don't see any of this at all? I don't know if you do, but I don't see it around me anymore. I don't even know if the children are aware that these games exist. They were simple games. They were games that held I thought it was a lot of physical development because you were actually, sometimes falling over, you're using all your force, you were learning the concepts of, how many people this side and how many people that side, balancing things. There were so many things happening with these simple games. I think it's, we can think of, bringing them back to our schools, to our classrooms. It just works so well, right? Another thing that I noticed with play, and I thought we must talk about this, a lot of coaching. The free play time has been taken over by coached, organized games. Uh, Another very important takeover is the digital playtime. I mean, the children have, fortunately, during this close down, I think children really started enjoying coming out and playing. So that's one big change that I do see. But there are a lot of children still stuck at home, preferring to play with themselves. A few days back, I was actually talking to somebody I know, and as an adult, she's got a grown up son. And she says that he just doesn't step out because he's busy playing his own game. Now, at the end of it all, it's a complete individual living with themselves and then just getting dependent on digital processes, which is also not very good for the general development of children. So, certain amount of fixing of playtime digitally is important because it is something which is going to keep happening. Another very important thing with play is how many parents actually play with the children. Play, just roll on the floor, play a board game. That's another thing which I perhaps we should encourage. We should talk about it. And even sometimes when I remember when I was doing my design for my activity-based learning, I would say today we should have playtime for with parents. Because imagine we had to give it as a task to do. So just like reading to children is very important, like that for us to make parents aware that just play without lecture. Lead them into what you want them to do. Focus with them. Keep your eye contact. Be patient with them. Use the language that we want them to use. So all the domains which we talk about in the development of play should ideally be happening in a very natural way, whether in school or at home. And like I said, boredom and play are a great combination because when they get bored, they look for things to do. And when they look for things to do, they become creative. So language, proportions, creativity, getting your mind in place and the heart anyway is in place when you're playing. I think that's one very, very important part about play, right? So play and feelings. So suppose we divide each part into, precisely, small slots. So you remember I don't know how many of you can remember this, but we had made this feeling box. And so many times when children play, you can actually sense their inner feeling and energy. There'll be some children who will just take play as play. There'll be some children who will take every kind of, falling down or losing a game happily. Some will be angry, some will have tears, and some will just not come back to play. A very, very nice way to teach children how to understand and handle their feelings. Great tool to do that. And what language? Because there is happiness, there is delight, there is enjoyment, there is laughter, there is anger, there is tears, there is joy, there is just so much of feeling when children go out and play. Now play and skills. So when we were doing the 7 stones, another lovely game which we've completely lost out on is this lovely 5 stones. Where you put out the stone and actually learn how to pick it up. So imagine I can't play this. This used to be my original 5 stones, which I used to play for. So Little games like this, which would help. I think a 7, 8 year old can very easily do it. Maybe not a 3 year old or 2 year old, but a little older set of children can play these games. So, skills, creativity, adaptation, sharing, patience could be all these life skills that the children learn. It's a large list. It's a really large list because I can be creative, I can be resilient, I can adapt, I can share, I can learn patience, I can, and so plus I can learn, my we'll come to the physical development a little later. The physical development is a natural part of play, right? It is what else that we can play which is important. Language development, the ability to listen, the ability to follow instructions, follow a sequence, communication, verbal and non-verbal. When you're making eye contact and saying, give it, pass it, look there, iche dekho. All that is non-verbal communication. So just imagine what we are going to make such an effort to do. Play will just do it so naturally for the children. That is why, a few days back we were all talking about curriculum, how's the new foundation going to be, how's class 1 and 2 going to adapt, what kind of testing pattern should we have. I don't know how many of us were designing the play. How many of us are looking at it and saying, how much of playtime are we going to give children? So our basic curriculums are such where the children work in school, then they come back and do homework, same as classwork, and then they hardly have time to go out and play. And then so many complications are emerging in children. So it's a vicious cycle we are creating with our curriculums. Should we have 3 unit tests or 5 unit tests? Why should we just not have observation and continuous evaluation and observation going on through the year? Why hold on to the children and do this to them where they have no time to play? So we do play in feelings, play in skills, play in language, and now play and the development of the mind, the intelligence. So another large range of things that happen, right? Cognitive development, calculation, movement, looking at the distance, looking at how should we do things. All that will happen so naturally to the children. So make a long list of your skills and say, oh my God, it takes care of this. And you'll realize that you will balance your curriculums with play rather than 2 more pages or 2 more worksheets. So play is that important. Play and responsibility. How would children become responsible when they have to play? They feel, they develop skills, they develop a good language, cognitive development happens. Now play and responsibility. How does that happen? Because I become responsible for my team. I become responsible for my things. I become responsible for my timing because children will always like to go out and play on their own time. I become responsible because I will share. I will bring all my things back. Look at the kind of things we can create as responsible playtime. So without the child realizing, small things, will you bring this back? Like today, I got instructions with the basketball that please be careful with it. So I said, oh, really? All right. He said, no, because I have to take it back to my mom. And, she checks our little thing. So I said, why does mama check it? He said, no, now I check mine and my sister's things. I check my water bottle. I check our playtime things. So a responsible behavior emerges gradually with playtime. 100% it does. And as I was building up today, I also thought that we must do a little recap of what we did with the domains. So we talked about our own attitudes where play is concerned, where anything is concerned, where the early childhood foundation is concerned. And then we talked about the domains. We talked about the physical development, the knowledge, the language development, the creative development, the personal social development, the mathematical development, and technology aided learning. And then I put up a peer play here, right? So when we just do play, just play, simple play, with stones, with sticks, with with little processes, right? So just simple things like that, a catch, a throw. I'll do a small activity also, which is like getting the proportion. So the big ball and the small ball. So every time I catch it, I have to hold it in a particular way. A small one comes to me. So if I'm playing a game with children, I can throw the small ball, then I can throw the big ball. I can throw the small ball, the big ball. Just in something as simple as this, the child's proportion happens. I can tell them, let's do this. You have to pass it 3 times. So they'll pass it 3 times. You tell them you have to roll it on the floor. They'll do it. It becomes like a wonderful cycle. And each of these domains keeps getting covered one by one by one by one. We talk about small muscle development. We talk about large muscle development and health and safety. Imagine how healthy the children will be if they just play every single day. Um, how many games can you play? Like I told you, there's a big list of games. There's a huge, huge list. But today I wanted to talk about all the things we've forgotten. We don't see enough. So if you can make these lists, if you can actually compile all of this, that, oh my God, these were things which, were there and they're so easy to do. The other day I walked into a school and I saw a very expensive set of equipment for large muscle development. Even just making children run, a relay race, a simple running race, a sack and a jumping race, the lemon and spoon race. These were all things which so easily possible without any expensive resources. And I think it's also good time to suggest this to parents, and integrate it into our own design, our own understanding of the fact that we can give them these extremely simple resources to let them play. I think that helps a lot, and that would take them a long way. The other day I was also talking to a set of teachers, and I asked them that, how did you ever play? People like, no, we are only making files. Imagine, we want these teachers to actually make our children happy in the sense of play environments. Do we ever organize a little game for the teachers? Do we actually sit down and say, okay, run with the children? There should be that joy of giving a play space to a teacher as well. There is a lot of seriousness that has come into our detailing. I always say that get your year ready in advance, keep it moldable and flexible, and go down and play with the children. Don't take it so seriously that you stop playing yourself. And teachers, a few days back, I also had a little activity where I asked all the teachers to bend down and touch their feet, normal exercise. And I put a table and I said, can you go from one side and come out to the other? Can you, go? And I think physical fitness for early years teachers is a necessity. If we stay fit, if we see to it that, we are agile, we move around, we dribble with the children, we run with the children, many of you would be doing it, but many of you don't do it also, right? So I think all earlier teachers play a little bit more. Okay, so now this time when you're in school, you're all going to look at fitness levels for early years teachers. It's very, very important to do. If we can just do that for ourselves, we automatically become that active with the children. I remember, when I was younger and I used to be, a part of different schools, they would say that, ma'am, we'll carry this for you or we'll do it for you. So I would say the day I can't play with the children, I'll stop working with early years. Because if I don't have the ability to just go down and play with children, I can't really encourage this. When you have little children, even as parents, I have played for years with my daughter, just gone out and played with her friends. In fact, it used to be such fun. And I used to always come back a happier person. I used to always come back with a bigger smile. So I think a little bit space for teachers to play, Don't bog them down too much. Don't bog yourselves down too much. Allow play to be a little more happy space in your own lives. I think it's important, and fitness. Uh, excuse me. We are looking at health and safety in children. I would say I would want to look at health and safety in teachers. If we can keep our teaching community safe, if we can keep them healthy, give them time to exercise, give them time to move out, let them explore things with children, I think we will be big gainers in this entire domain battle that we are fighting. It will help us to develop so much of the child just like that. So when we are doing a design, please keep this in mind that your teachers must be given the liberty to develop the different domains through simple play and not very, very stringent, cocoons that we are putting them in. It's not required. Suddenly, at the end of it all, you'll realize that so much of the development was happening so naturally. Today we are having to design everything because natural play is not happening. So I think that's my whole message for today. That please bring back more fit teachers. Insist on fitness. When we do interviews, I actually say that you have to have the fittest teachers in the early years. Our physical fitness is a mandatory part of our energy with little children. I would like you to put your comments on this. I would like you to tell us what you feel about this, because I feel very strongly about this. That teachers of little children should be given enough time, given enough resources, enough liberty to actually go out there, get out of the files. I see so much of written work. There is so much of documentation. Please take it away from the early years. It's really not required. What the early years requires is a fit body, a fit mind, and a fit heart. I think if that is sorted out, we are there with our children, right? How do you develop large muscle? We just told you, simple things. Even a normal basketball every day will help you to develop it, right? Small muscle development, you have, even if you're picking pebbles, it's a game. When we were younger, we used to have this neem, the neem has this little yellow fruit that keeps falling. And if you press it too much, it just pushes. So even the collection of that was done very, very meticulously. The neem ka tili, that little thing of the neem tree was so important because we would bundle it up and we would make that into our money, or we would just exchange it. These are the simplest of things, but the kind of joy they give. I also see children with lots and lots of toys, lots of very technical play, but they are not happy children, in the sense that once this is over, then another one, then another one, then another one. So bring the simplicity back to children. I think it would help us in the long run. I also say that as an educator, working with children who have the best of resources and looking at children who don't have those kind of expensive toys. So play can be simple, play can be inexpensive, play can be interactive, play can help in the creative development, play can help in the language, play can help in the skills, play can help in keeping the heart happy, play can help the mind to be happy, and the hand and the body is anywhere super happy. And today, what we're going to ask you to download is a simple, like today when I was sitting and doing this whole program for today, I kept thinking of how many things, like what kind of a PowerPoint should I make? And then I realized, no, let me just speak from what I interpret on play. And I definitely want to see the simpler games coming back. I want lists and lists of all the beautiful games our country has grown, and bring it back into the classroom, just like the folk is coming back, just like my damru, my dholak, my simplicity of tools is coming back. I would want simplicity of play to come back into the classrooms. Simplest of resources. Think about it. Make your list. I'm not going to give you a list today because I'm sure Each one of us can collect our set of lists. Share it with us, please. Please put it in your comments box. If there are games which I have left out, if there were things which you've seen and enjoyed, please let's bring it back to the children together. I think that's one whole thing with play and activities today. And for me, the heart, the head, and my hand is about simple things. And that's how I have worked. And it has worked very, very well for the kind of work we do. Technology is going to be there, not going to be taken away, perfectly all right. But hands on learning, hands on fun, movement is very important. Most important, healthy teachers. So the healthy mind, a happy teacher, and a teacher's happy hand with the children. I think that's what we are going to do today. And the list today is our downloadable list is very simple. It says, if I feel, I think. If I think, I do. So fill in your ideas of the heart, mind, and hand, and you can include the developmental domains as well. And we've given you a small little write-up over here about playing, what it does, stimulates the brain, sparks creativity, improves intelligence, helps in understanding, play improves communication, group play, play simply makes you. So what we are going to do now is I'm going to pick up the ball and you will catch it. Catch it, use it with the simplest of things, and let play become a happy reality in our children's lives, in our lives, कितने दिन हो गए आपको भागे हुए? Have you run around last few days? तो अभी जब आप, when all of you are going to school, I know a lot of teachers are going back to school. Tomorrow, do a little catching game. Go out and play chain with your friends. See how it feels, right? So that's how you'll bring it into your curriculum. That's how you will allow for free play to be happening and just have fun. Language will happen, creative will happen, domains will happen. It will all happen with its own pace and time. So thank you very much and have a super, super day. And the next week, we're going to have this lovely team of very energetic teachers, their heads. It's so wonderful to see people coming in and wanting to be a part of this learning process with us. So thank you all. Have a super, super week. Play. थोड़ा सा नीचे जाके खेलिए. Take just sprint across today when you all go down for your walk. Run for about 20 steps, right? And you can send us a bit of your recording. So the team Square Panda is asking for small snippets of things that have made a difference in your life. So if any of you go out there and play, if any of you do your sprint, your run, your happy play, don't forget to send us that little photograph or the snippet. Like I said, it's not a competition, it's simple, happy participation together. Thank you so much and bye-bye. Thank you.
Square, Panda.